Hello and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Jarrod, and joining me tonight are John and Sean. How are you, John?
Good, I'm good. It's been a wee while, so good to be on today. Busy at work, but yeah, glad to be on.
And how are you, Sean?
Yeah, I've had some dental issues recently, but I'm on the mend now. I had my last appointment a few days ago at Tooth Hurty in the afternoon.
God, I was waiting for that.
But seriously, I did get a couple of nerves ripped out because the dentist couldn't figure out where the pain was coming from. So he just went to town, just extracted nerves until it stopped.
I've got a proper fear of the dentist. Yeah. I hate him.
Jeez, and I thought I had it bad where I sound like a teenage boy with his voice breaking because I've had laryngitis for the last week, but you win, Sean.
Saturday morning, I was staring down a bottle of whiskey and a pair of pliers, honestly.
Jeez.
God.
Don't wish that on anyone. So, hope you're on the mend and, if you still want that whiskey, just keep the pliers as far away from you as possible. All right, so just as a usual spiel to start off, anyone listening, please pause the podcast, go and subscribe. We haven't seen some good growth in the subscriber count recently for the Celtic Down Under podcast, so we thank everyone who has subscribed, and if you haven't already, please do so. Now, we've got some breaking news that's just happened. Peter Lawwell's house has been firebombed. Over to you, Sean.
Yeah, I just seen that just 10 minutes before we came on, Celtic posted an official statement. When I first read it, the first two paragraphs kind of read like there's been an explosion in his house and and he's okay kind of thing. And then when you get to the kind of third or fourth one, it's like Police Scotland are investigating criminal activity. It's like, oh, right, okay, that's not good. So we actually had a little debate, which we can continue now via text, about whether it was carry on from the recent Sevco behaviours or whether it was a disgruntled Celtic fan. And I was personally coming down, obviously we're 100% speculating, but based on the timing of it, it makes sense as Sevco fan, but also why would they target Peter Lawwell? Do you know what I mean? The guy that won them their first ever league title. So they should really be sending him flowers in the post, not bombs, whatever's happened. The details are quite light, so it's difficult to really judge it at the moment.
Yeah, it's all speculation at the moment, so we can only look at it and go, it's either going to be, as you said, a disgruntled Celtic fan, but why would they do that at the moment, or a Rangers fan? Nothing would surprise me at the moment with them because there's a bunch of hacks, but we'll discuss them later on. But yeah, I also want to pass on my best wishes to the Lawwell family. No one should have to go through that, especially when his wife, daughter and granddaughter are all in the house at the time. It's not ideal. Wouldn't wish that on anyone, not let alone my worst enemy. So he shouldn't have to go through that shit.
I've just pulled up a picture of it there now, and the flames are about 4 meters high. Like
Jesus Christ.
In his driveway with the cars. I mean, maybe it was the underground heating exploded or something, but I've just seen the aftermath of it, and his garage is gone. His cars are gone. They're in pieces.
That's mental.
It looks like one of them's melted.
Yeah, they were saying there was 3 cars that were targeted and petrol bombs. The roof of the garage is gone and the roof of part of the house is gone. So could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
it's clearly motivated, isn't it? It's not an accident. It's not a random, run of the mill criminal that's trying to do something, like deliberately petrol bombing the garage where there's going to be probably easiest to get to and the highest impact. It's going to be there's clearly a motive behind it rather than just senseless violence or destruction.
It's clearly a targeted attack. Like there's no two ways about it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just timing's very odd. That's the only thing I think. I think the timing's extremely weird to have all of the rundown that we saw at George Square and now someone from the other side of Glasgow's, heavily affiliated getting targeted. Screams a bit coincidental, but you're right. We can't know until the investigation is complete.
Screams a bit of deflection tactics. We're all getting, the Rangers fans from their point of view is, we're copping it. We're in the media. We're getting bad-mouthed here. So this happens. Suddenly all the attention in the media goes towards that story and is off them.
Yeah.
That sounds like a too intelligent of a leap for most of them to make.
That's true.
I think you're giving them too much credit there, Jarrod. But yeah, it does. I mean, that certainly is an outcome that's going to happen from this, and I don't know. It's a weird one. Like, it's very weird.
I mean, it could easily be like, again, even petrol bombing. There's no way that we can 100%. Nobody can know that for sure until the right, like, CSI investigation, all that shit. Make sure it's all of that. That's the materials used and all that stuff. So it could quite easily be, an accident that's been caused whilst somebody's trying to steal his motors. There's a possible.
Sorry, I was going to say the Daily Ranger are reporting it as a petrol bomb. They've used that word.
Yeah, but exactly. But how does the Daily Ranger know that? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's no way until the police. Yeah, exactly. Until the police confirm it was this type of bomb or blah blah blah. It's just been. I think shit like that is just chucked about. All we know is fucking garage has been up in flames and it appears to be targeted at this point. That's the only sort of like half facts we know.
Yep.
So it seems a bit. Timing seems odd.
As we said, speculation. So it's a watch this space, and sure, more information will come to hand once Police Scotland's done their investigations, as you said, John. And yeah, it gets reported on, but yeah, just don't wish that on anyone. So I'm just glad they're all safe at the end of the day.
Like I said in the chat, I really hope this isn't the start of the dark days again, where we're getting fucking bombs sent to each other and bullets and all of that stuff. But we don't want that. We've tried too hard to get away from that stuff. So,
well, some of us have tried. We'll come to that later. But yeah, actually, kind of when it broke, it kind of reminded me of when the Alfredo Morelos story, where like the paper reported someone had been putting a tampering with his car, and it turned out it was a private investigator his wife had hired because he was cheating on her.
Exactly.
But they reported it as like, Celtic fans tampering with his car, cutting the brakes or putting a bomb on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, he was putting a tracking device on it.
We all know what the Scottish media is like. They're too quick to, try and get a headline. So it could be something innocent, or it could just be a fucking idiot. Well, it is a fucking idiot. It could just be like a general idiot rather than a specific team one.
Yep. Yeah, maybe his neighbour's shitty about his dog shitting in his garden or something like that.
It's fucking just chucking like a lit bottle of Maduro over the fence or something.
Yeah. Or maybe the guy just that kid and chucked a cigarette over and
just went up. Yeah.
Imagine that. Yeah. Fuck, that'd be the most
you never
ridiculous
know.
thing. Who knows? Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave that topic there. As we said before, we'll hear more about that in future once Police Scotland's done their job. So, Celtic 4, St Johnstone 0. What was your thoughts on that game, John? We'll go through the reviewing of the two games quickly.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I thought we saw flashes of the old Celtic again. I think the biggest thing I remember from the game was the Scott Brown assist to the Edouard goal was just fucking back to what we saw before, and it kind of screamed really similarly to when Scott Brown did a very similar thing with Dembele, and he went away and he chipped it over the keeper and scored. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a good bit of skill. I think it depends on the way that we take that game depends on how we measure Celtic. I think beating St Johnstone 4-0 is great. It's always great to win well, but are we really have we dropped the bar that low to then suggest that we're back at it with that sort of result? I don't know about that, but yeah, good to see a positive result again.
Yeah, I wouldn't give them as much credit as you, purely because the St Johnstone team was so heavily depleted with all the COVID outs that they have at the moment. I believe that's the second time we faced Slamal as an emergency loan this year. Is that right? He played for St Mirren against us earlier in the year?
Yep.
Sorry?
Yeah,
is that right?
Mirren. Yeah.
So I thought there was rules against that. I thought, according to UEFA rules, you were only allowed to play for two teams in one season. So that's an interesting one.
But did he play for Hearts at all, or not really? Because Gordon's been starting every week.
It's a good point. I don't actually know. Yeah, it might be a point. Maybe he's not played again for Hearts.
He wouldn't have been
But
able
even
to
if he
make that
has-
loan if he had.
Yeah, well, I was going to say the SFA probably just quietly brush it under the carpet anyway, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was. Yeah, I didn't really put too much into it because it was St Johnstone reserves. But that was an unbelievable goal from Edward. Like the touch and finish, it was like, whoa. Yeah,
He megged him.
Yeah,
He controlled it with a single touch, megged him, and kind of Cruyffed at the same time. It was fucking awesome.
It was.
And the
It was a great goal.
funny thing was when he was celebrating, it only took like 4 people to come to him before he actually smiled. That's what I was like. I was like, still nothing. Okay, now he's smiling, having a laugh. About time.
Yeah.
Good to see him actually having a bit of a grin after doing something like that. But yeah, as Sean
doesn't really
said,
do that, does
for
he?
me it was I wouldn't read too much into it because they were depleted, and then also I look at it and go, well, all the pressure's off. It was Broony's day more than anything, and all the pressure was off, and the guys just went out there and played. So. Yeah, I wouldn't read too much into that.
I wanted to comment on the Dembele goal for 2 reasons. So if you watch it back on the replay, when that ball gets played through, he doesn't look at the goal or the goalkeeper once. So from when he's outside the box to when he gets in the box, he doesn't lift his head to look at the goalkeeper or the goals at any time. But then he absolutely precisely slots it into that far corner. Like, it was an unbelievable finish. But then the second thing that I noticed was actually the first thing. Well, I say the second thing. The first thing I noticed, but chronologically the second thing, was that nobody got around them to celebrate. Like, there was like a kind of high five from Christie, and somebody else kind of walked past them, but like he was celebrating on his own. Everybody else was like, whatever. Do you know what I mean? And that to me says that he has not ingratiated himself in any way to that team. And based on the fact he's not been getting a sniff this year, and from the reports we've heard about him wanting out and stuff like that, that kind of, to me, that kind of rhymes.
Screams that he's away, probably.
Well, maybe not necessarily that, and with new manager might turn him around, but certainly his head is away.
Yeah. I agree. I also noticed that, but I didn't realize it probably is something to do with that. I did think his goal was fantastic. It was a really difficult angle, to be honest, to shoot from. But yeah, he did good. I hope he sticks around, and I hope he's becomes a good. I mean, it would save having to go and buy another right winger. Do you know what I mean?
I look at it.
The persistent. Sorry.
No, I look at it and go, well, I don't really see, like, where you're saying you hope he sticks around. I'm looking at it as well from that point of view where I don't really see him going. If he leaves, he's going to go and earn his spot back up. Yet now he's got a year left on his contract, and he's going to have an opportunity, you'd think, going into the next season to establish himself. Like the talk was always get through the tent and then bring the kids in. Well, that's where we're at now. So unless he's going to get, I think as you were saying, Sean, when no one got around him, I think there's a clear divide because he's one for the future and all the other guys were pretty much, I can see like he may not be well liked in the squad. Who knows? It's hard to like acclimatise and get into the mix as well when COVID and they're all separated and stuff. But for me, I can see it as there's a bit of a split because he was always tight with Armstrong, Oko, Flex, and a few of the other younger guys, and they did their thing. And then you had Broony and all that mob doing their own thing. So you can see why he's barely been in the mix and around the team. But at the same time, now's his chance. He's got 12 months to either play really well, earn himself that move that he wants, or to play well and we stitch him up, give him a nice long contract and let him cut sick out there on the right.
Well, I don't understand what he thinks he's going to achieve by leaving a team like Celtic, right? If he fucks off to say, oh God, Christ, who knows, right? Let's just say a Newcastle, Norwich type level, he's not walking into a team there, right? He's just not going to immediately get into that type of starting 11. So he's probably going to have to start either as a reserve or in the youth squad anyway. Or, he gets picked up by a big team like City, for instance, and he gets fucking chucked around like Paddy Roberts did.
Like I say, Islam Ferouz, Because when I was on Farouz went down on like, what was he on, 7-8 grand a week, and Man City and Chelsea are paying more than that to players that have never played a game. What, 15,000, something like that?
Yeah.
For players that never played a game for them. I think Boyata was on 15,000 when he went from Man City to Celtic in a week, and that's insane. And I don't know. There's another thing with this persistent rumor of his brother signing from Peterborough. I don't know if you've heard this.
Yeah.
No.
Siriki, or
I
whatever
can't
his
remember.
name is.
Siriki, there you go. So that kind of to me means that sounds like a move. It's either people putting two together and getting 5, or it's a move to try and keep him here, try and keep him happy, keep his family.
What's happened? What's happened
So-
was this?
His brother plays for Peterborough. I think he's an older brother. I think he's 22, 23, something like that.
Right.
Maybe even older. But I don't think he's exactly setting the world on fire. But several times we've been linked with bringing him in.
Well, the talk with Siriki
right.
is he's been playing well this year. Once Tony left, he came in and got a bunch of minutes, and he's actually been playing really well. And he's been linked with us, with Rangers, and with Hibs.
Is he the forward?
Yeah.
I think he's a winger, is he? Is he a winger or a
He
forward?
plays Zalanusi position, so he's like a left, but can play as an inside forward in behind a
Yeah.
striker.
I did see this. Didn't realise that was his brother, but yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
That's an old tactic to kind of bring in. Like when we had Nakamura and we signed the other Japanese boy whose name escapes me. Do you know what I mean? Like, never had a Japanese player before, never had one since. When we signed the Icelandic youngster, we signed 2 of them. China, we had Zheng Zi and Du Wei at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have this kind of,
and Ki Sung Young.
Yep, there you go. So like you kind of bring them in 2s, so they've got someone with them.
That's what
So
we
if
were
they're maybe
saying.
thinking,
Yeah, that's what we were saying a few pods ago about bringing in a Greek defender to go along with Barkas. Same sort of theory.
another Ukrainian to go with Shved. Remember him? We still got him.
yeah,
Another pretty boy to go with Jack Hendry.
yeah.
Could we bring that other Belgian player in, the one that he really liked? You see the video with Hendry and that really nice conversation they had.
Yeah.
But you were saying something,
Bring
Sean,
him
before
along.
we went stupid this then.
Oh, it was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, you were saying though, Sean, about we used to bring them in. So do you want to finish your point?
Sorry. Yeah, no, I was just kind of running through examples at that point. But yeah, it's all, yeah. I think they're going for, yeah, we can't offer you more money, and yeah, we're not going to go to the Champions League final, but we can give you a really good platform with your family, a comfortable platform, the best platform for you to develop over, let's say, 3 years. And, if you sign 4 or 5 year or 4 year contract with an option for an extra year, by the end of the 3rd year, if you've developed in the way we want you to, then, we'll sell you for 8 figures and everyone wins. At the end of the day, you have to persuade them of that, and we have to sell that. We have to kind of sell that structure. Otherwise, you don't, the Van Dijk thing was one of the best things that's happened to us in terms of bringing in prestigious young players. Does Moussa Dembele sign for us if Van Dijk hasn't gone before him in Wanyama? Probably not.
But then off the back of that, we have to keep our word when we say that's what we're going to do. Because if you look at what we did this season, where we held on to a lot of players who wanted away,
True.
well, then you're going to have a lot if you don't sell them when you get to that point. Like when, perfect example, in Cham, when Porto was sniffing around for 14 million, we should have bit the hand off for that.
Yeah.
Yep.
We didn't, and what's happened? He's basically got 12 months left on his deal. We'll be lucky to get half the money we spent on him back. We'll be lucky to get 2 million
Get
for it.
anything.
It depends what happens. And then you look at a guy like, you mentioned him earlier on about, what was Boyata? 12 million from Fulham, turned it down, and then he left on a free. So you look at that there's £26 million for 2 players that we'll be lucky to see us sent on. That we've spent probably £6.5-7 million on total. So we could have made good money there. So the key thing is, if we're going to sell that, as that's what we'll do, we'll bring you in, we'll develop you for 3-4 years. Then once the offer comes in, when you've got it 12-18 months left on your deal, we'll sell you on. Great, fine, that's what we need to do. But if that's the process and that's the project that we do, then we have to stick to it.
I think 5-year contracts are the only way though, because you will need that 3 years to develop, and you don't. As a club, we won't get value if a player has fewer than 2 years on their contract. We're not getting full value. Simple as that.
Key point.
Yep.
Look at Chris Aya. You have 1 year left on his deal at the moment. If we were to sell him, if he had 2 years, 3 years left on his contract, what would we be asking for him and getting? 25 quite comfortably?
Mm-hmm.
The talk is we're going to, if we're lucky now, we'll get 15. If we're lucky.
I'd be accepting anything in 8 figures with a sell on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'd be taking.
So that shows just the market we're in. Like when Tierney went for 25, it was because he had a sell-on clause, but if he didn't have a release clause, if he didn't have that, then you look at what he's doing, he'd be worth a lot more. Then you've got, and then you just look at it and go, well, what we sold Musa for, like, paid $500,000 for him, got 20 million for him, could have got more, but, you know, things happen behind the scenes. But the key thing is, if we have them under a long contract, then that's going to help us. The only player that's ever done anything like that I can remember in recent history to help us out was Armstrong, where he could have he signed that 1 year extension to give us that valuation so we could sell him on and still get a decent figure for him, so 7 million for him, and then he still got his move. So he's a clever bloke. He's got a law degree or something behind him, but he did the right thing by the club. Like,
yeah, that was really decent of him. Like, not being sarcastic, I sound like I'm being, but that was a top move. Like, that was. I really appreciate that he did that, because
that shows that he appreciates the club and everything. So that's what we need to do. Like, if we're going to bring guys in 3 or 4 year development, then they need to sign that 5-year deal.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
agreed.
Yep.
And I'll quickly touch on it just for 2 seconds. Celtic nil, Hibs nil. Situation normal for this season. Glad it's over. Pretty much that game summed up everything that had happened that went wrong for us this season. And yeah, all done. Don't want to talk about that anymore.
Willie Collum's a prick.
Yep, man of the match, Willie Collum. That's it. Yeah.
Fucking prick.
Yeah. Baffling how that Hibs player that committed 6 fouls didn't get a yellow card, and John Joe Kenny gets yellow carded for stumbling into someone, and who was that? I can't remember who the other yellow card was. Welsh maybe, for a nothing foul in the middle of the pitch. Absolutely bizarre.
I'm pretty sure if we had VAR, and we could talk about VAR until we're blue in the face, but if we had VAR, that goal would have to have stood. Had to have stood.
I think it wouldn't, because he blew his whistle as the ball was being kicked. But that's
yeah. But see, I'm not entirely sure of this, right? But if a player has already started his movement, already started taking the free kick, and the goal goes in, surely it's a disadvantage to the team that scores by blowing the whistle during the movement. If it was before, I could understand that. It's like, well, you got to wait for the whistle. Blah, blah, blah. But the fact that Edouard had already started taking the fucking free kick and then he blew the whistle because the wall moved forward, I don't know. I'm not sure of the rules, but I can't be right. Disadvantage.
It all comes down to the VAR in that situation. It will come down to who's doing the wrong and who's being disadvantaged. So is the attacker being advantaged or disadvantaged by what's happening? Because they're not taking it. Edouard's taking a quick shot. The wall steps forward. Edouard's disadvantaged. So,
yeah,
should he stop that? If Edouard's happy to take it, then play on.
Yeah, you're right. And even if the referee was correct in his application of the rules, that's maybe something that needs looked at. Where in that when that instance happens in future, where the wall's encroaching, let the player take the free kick, and then if the wall is encroached, then yellow cards someone in the wall and give them another shot at the free kick.
Yeah.
Or even move it forward 10 yards and do it again. 5 yards, whatever. Like, you're right, it's not that rule is disadvantaged us, and that surely we can't be isolated in that. Assuming that rule was applied correctly.
I fucking knew he's going to hit the wall on his second shot as well.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, got blinder of a fucking free kick. I literally said to my mate, I said, he's going to hit the wall here. That's that fucking sod's law.
It was inevitable, as El Yunusi, like, fucking sticking his head up his own arse when he was 1-on-1 with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And any shot from
But
Ryan
anyway.
Christie ending up in Rose Ed. It's inevitable as that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you be 1-on-1 with a keeper and take 3 touches all inside the box? Like, how does that even happen?
He just
How does a
fucking
professional
shat it.
footballer- Yeah, how does a professional footballer do that?
Shit.
Bizarre.
I've got no idea.
But yeah.
No idea. No, okay.
But yeah,
One-touch
you're right.
shit.
Same old Celtic this season.
Yep. Well, one thing I just want to quickly say is captain, leader, legend, thank you, Broony, for everything on behalf of the Celtic Down Under podcast. What a guy.
Sad times.
What do you guys make of the farewell to him and everything that happened during the last week?
I thought it was great. It was fitting, but I feel for him that the fans couldn't be there to give him probably the send off he deserves. I hope he when he does play with the Dons and he comes to Celtic, and hopefully we've got a crowd there at that point, we can really, give him the send off that he does, that he 100% deserves. So yeah.
I think it's all been on message. Apart from the Green Brigade trying to hijack that message, which I fully support their cause, but
Time and place.
Fucking
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I'm one of the most. I've been on these marches. I've got the flags. I'm one of the most pro-Palestine movement people in the world, but they've literally, whether they thought the club would react or not, they're still hijacking a message that is not appropriate to hijack, which is a tribute to Scott Brown, who's played 620 games for us, and a lot of those as captain, and has won more trophies as a Celtic player than any other existing team in Scotland outside Celtic. So, not the time and place, guys. In terms of how the board should be dealing with that, they've really fucked it up. I'm not going to lie, but what they should be doing in these sort of situations is be saying to the Green Brigade, look, we'll match if you want to raise money for these causes outside the stadium. We'll match you pound for pound, whatever you raise. We'll donate that. But if you bring that protest inside the stadium, we'll withdraw that. So that puts it on to the Green Brigade, saying you can double your money if you just keep it outside the stadium. And if you bring it inside the stadium because it's that important to you, then that's on you, that you're forfeiting $250,000 or whatever that could be going to Palestine. And that's your actions costing money for that cause.
That sounds like a very mature and reasonable way of dealing with things.
It would never catch on.
It's beyond most people.
Such a simple thing that it, such a simple solution, but let's overcomplicate shit.
Yeah.
So back to Broony. Like, I think what will happen is, obviously this whole empty stadium thing is awful. It's not a good way to go. What we would have had if the stands had been full was the same as Henrik Larsson's last game, with people in tears, teenage boys like punching each other in the face to get his top. And I think what will happen to kind of compensate for that will be in 2 years, maybe, whenever he stops playing. I think whatever the last season he plays, so I think he's going to play for 2 years at Aberdeen. So I think when he officially retires from playing, and hopefully COVID's all under control by that point, then we'll probably have some sort of event, not at Celtic Park, but probably at the Hydro, and there'll be some sort of Scott Brown tribute at Hydro with Celtic fans. I think that's what will happen, and hopefully he gets the love at that point that he should have got this week.
Yep.
On a positive though, I did love the some of the video packages with like Tierney's message and Lustig dressing up as him and that sort of stuff, and it's just a good touch all around there. The one that annoyed me was, "Hey Broony, it's Kendo. Yeah, we know. We can see who you are." Like that was a pisser to me, because like everyone else was like, "Hey Broony, blah blah blah," and you could see who it was. They didn't say their name, and he's like, the current interim manager. It's Kendo. No shit, Sherlock. Like, I thought that's fucking dumb, man.
You must have thought it was a dictaphone or something.
Oh, no, it was. I just found that odd. Every time I've seen it, I just piss myself laughing, because I'm like, Yes, we've got eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was actually a really good. It was the most enjoyable halftime I've ever had in Celtic TV. So that was really good.
Yeah.
You know.
Lustig's a fucking Fruit Loop.
Oh, I love
I
him.
swear
mate.
to God.
Love him.
I wish he'd come back as a coach. I love the
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
It's just, he's shot away. But yeah. God, what
Yeah.
personality.
You need that, though. Every
Yeah.
club needs their larrikins. It's a great thing.
For sure. Yeah. Definitely.
All right.
Did you
so
see the clip of? Sorry, just before we move on from Broony, did you see the clip where he said he swore on Sky Sports?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's why they were playing Scooter in the
that's right.
halftime video.
That's right. What was he said? Oh, fuck! What's that tune? Fuck me, put on Scooter or something like that.
Yeah.
So funny.
it's like not that cheap.
So, am I alive?
Yeah.
And then I love like the interview after it. He's like, and then like the guy interviewing him's like, yeah, we apologise for any language, blah blah blah. Halfway through the interview, and Bruno's just like, and he just started laughing. He's like, pulls a face and then starts laughing, this grinning from ear to ear, like, whoops.
It's funny because he's never let slip like that before, and now it's just like the last 2 weeks. He's just like whatever.
He's normally quite good in front of the with the media and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
does that whole footballer droll sort of just answers the question and gets on.
It's brilliant. That reminds me of like, when you resign from a job and you go into a new one and you're in that last 4-week notice period that you got to give or whatever it is, and it's like, what are they going to do? Fire me? He just cuts sick occasionally. There's always that one person who's just like, I don't care, and they put their feet up on their desk and they'll just talk whatever because like, what are they going to do? Fire me? It's kind of like, he's cut sick there and he's like, no, well, what are they going to do? I'm leaving anyway.
Yeah. So the ones in the like the weather alert people last week, and they just write windy as fuck and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Whatever.
Yeah, brilliant. Anyway, love you, Broony. All the best at Aberdeen, except for when you play us.
Yeah. It'll be good.
Now, just
Sorrow will have him in his pocket. Sorrow will take him.
Yeah.
Yep. So I run circles around him. All right, so the next topic I want to throw to is just the latest managerial rumours about Eddie Howe. So apparently with Roy Hodgson moving on from Crystal Palace, there was a lot of talk there about, Crystal Palace potentially trumping us and getting Eddie in the job there. So apparently Eddie Howe has come out and said he's not interested in the Crystal Palace job. So, and apparently I'm throwing a lot of apparents in there because that's what you're seeing reported everywhere. But that he's figured out who his backroom staff will be if he comes up to Celtic. It's just pending Bournemouth not being promoted back to the EPL. Further to that, there's a post we're seeing kicking around on a fair few Celtic pages, so it could just be absolute bollocks, but Eddie Howe remains firmly on course to be named Celtic manager, and contractual reasons are behind the delay. Celtic must wait until Howe's former club Bournemouth's season is over to name him as a boss due to financial obligations. Howe will land a huge payoff bonus from Bournemouth if they are promoted while he remains on gardening leave.
Okay.
Howe will raid his old club from backroom staff and is set to bring in technical director Richard Hughes along with the coaches that I previously mentioned, Stephen Purchase and Simon Weatherstone. Celtic hope to appoint Eddie Howe within the next fortnight to replace Neil Lennon. So you're seeing that plus what I touched on earlier. That looks like the latest situation at the moment. What are your thoughts on that, Sean?
That makes a lot of sense now. I'd listened to the AXOM last night, and they were saying something about contract residuals. Like you have like clauses in your exit that you can't poach staff or players for a certain number of certain time, and that you limited payoffs. And so, but what you're saying there about bonus for promotion, that to me makes the most sense of all the reasons I've heard for this getting delayed. Because if I was due, and what did he get for getting promoted? It's like 100 million, maybe more. I don't know. Like as a start, I think when you include parachute payments and all that stuff, it adds up to like
it's about 140 million with parachute payments.
Yeah, and that's just the parachute payments. So that's if you could just go straight back up and down. So I think you're guaranteed like 300, 400 million just for going up. Whether you come straight back down or not. So that makes sense. He's going to be getting at least 7 figures as a bonus. So I would also be cooling my jets and not accepting any appointments until that's done and dusted. I believe the playoff final is the 29th of May. Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
And Bournemouth won yesterday or 2 days ago, depending on your calendar.
So play again on
if they go
Saturday.
the next leg, yeah. So they won at home against Brentford 1-0. So they'll have the second leg and then the final. Oof, I'm trying to find
Be
it.
at Wembley.
But yeah, that makes sense to me.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, I agree. I think it makes the most sense that there's some sort of contractual or financial obligation that he either feels that he doesn't want to break or he can't break. I thought it might have been the end of the Scottish season, but it makes a lot of sense that it's determined by Bournemouth's performances. So if just to go over what you said there, Jarrod. So are you saying that if Bournemouth gets promoted, he's going to take some of the backroom staff to Celtic, or if they don't get promoted, they'll be taking some of the backroom staff to Celtic?
Both. But how it will work is if, say, Stephen Purchase and Simon Weatherstone, the two guys that he apparently wants to bring with him, if Bournemouth get promoted, they may come out of our price range here at Celtic because their wages will get bumped up back to a Premier League level instead of the reduction they would have copped for a relegation. So from us, in our perspective, if they don't make it, if they get knocked out by, if Ivan Toney bangs in a hat-trick on the weekend and Brentford knock them out, great. Then these guys will come in, we'll be able to match their current wages or give them a little bump, bring them in and they can get to work straight away as of next week. If they win that and they go to the final, then we'll have to hold off and see what happens.
Okay. Yeah, right. Well, I mean, look, I think it's a good idea when managers bring in people that they can trust and they know. My concern is that there's an inherent bias that any English team and any English team's coaching system is automatically better than across the border. And I think as long as we have a really good mix between coaches and staff that understand how Celtic want to play and the Scottish game and how we compete in Europe or how we want to compete in Europe, and then the new blend of team coming in, I'm all for it. That sounds great. I'm happy with that. But yeah, what I don't want is just, all these Bournemouth managers and coaches, to come in and just assume their system is automatically better.
Well, for me,
if you're a coach at Bournemouth, you probably want out as well because they've went through 3 managers this season. That's a basket case.
Yeah,
and that's a team that's competing for promotion, and they're on the 3rd manager in 1 season.
And yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of the shout that's been going on, a lot of the noise, about Crystal Palace and Roy Hodgson going, I think that was completely perpetuated by like the shite people from TalkSport and stuff like that. I don't think that was ever really an option for Eddie Howe. I don't think Eddie Howe would want to go and step probably down, but maybe sideways at a push. I think he always quite clearly stated he wanted a project rather than just to maintain, mid-table in the Premier League.
I'm just going to say it. Is Crystal Palace on level with Bournemouth? If you were to look at Bournemouth last year before they got relegated and Crystal Palace now, are they same, or in that 14 to 20 mark in the Premier League? Are they a step up for him? Not really. If he comes to us, we win our first qualifier, we're guaranteed European football till January. And he'll be going for titles. We're a much bigger club than them. Who gives a fuck about
Crystal Palace?
Yeah, I know.
Who cares about? That's not going to do anything for your prestige as a manager.
That's what I was just getting at. I'm like, why would you do that? Like, to me, what's the bigger club? What's the bigger overall? Who has a better supporter base? You've got us with 60,000 every week, or you've got, when crowds are allowed, or you've got Crystal Palace with 20,000, 25,000 going to games. You've got, and they're one of how many clubs in London? It's apples and oranges here. It's like, you just can't compare it.
Well, then the attraction for him would be that, as you say, it is actually even though they're small fry in the Premier League, they are bigger than Bournemouth, and they Crystal Palace, I guess, is not too far from his family home down on the south coast. So
Yeah.
there's that attraction. But then to John's point, which I do probably with green tinted glasses invest in, that he wants a project. Crystal Palace isn't a project. They're about the peak of where they can get to. Project means in codified terms that I can come in and make an improvement here, not just maintain or, sustain managed decline or whatever, like in that terms, for me, when the Tottenham kind of rumours came and went, that was like, okay, that one's not happening, so he's our man now. The other kind of ones you'd be looking at in that kind of range would be like Everton, Leeds. They're the kind of ones where you could say Sunderland. They're the ones that you would talk about as a project job for a manager like that, where there's a clear and obvious path for progression and improvement.
Well, you said about the Tottenham job. Sorry, go on, John.
Sorry?
Oh, so all I was going to add was, and what we have that none of those teams has, apart from maybe Tottenham, is European football as a really big pull for a manager to come in.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, you mentioned Tottenham there, Sean, and for us it was, you said once that was gone, phew, like that's fine. But for me, I was more worried that it wasn't going to be Tottenham for him. I was thinking it was going to be Brendan Rodgers goes to Tottenham and then Eddie Howe goes to Leicester. That's the one move that I was worried about, because Leicester would definitely be a step up over your Crystal Palaces, your Bournemouths, all that. And the way that's set up is that's a project that's ready to go and just push forward, as you can see by him winning the FA Cup this week. So I was more worried about Rodgers going across, but Levy at Tottenham wouldn't stump up the cash to pay out his contract to do that. So no big deal.
Brendan Rodgers is off to Barcelona.
The Rodgers model is that I guarantee Leicester finish lower next year than they do this year. They might finish third, fourth, or fifth, whatever this year, but I guarantee there's going to be a regression next year. Guarantee it.
Mm-hmm. What happens? He's got a 3-year lifespan at the club.
Mm-hmm. Leicester have hit peak, and that's not an Eddie Howe gig.
Fearless prediction from Sean.
Fingers crossed.
All right, so unless you guys have got anything else you want to add on the management front, if Howe doesn't come in, for me, bring in Favre. That's all.
Well, that was the only other thing is, if Howe doesn't come, I don't know where the fuck we're at.
Yeah, we've all emotionally invested in Howe coming as well, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All the eggs are in one basket. I don't know. The only thing I'd like to add, I don't know if you guys saw, but there was a podcast that went around all the Celtic forums, which was actually Cherries fans talking about the Howe move to Celtic. And did any of you guys see that?
Yeah, I saw one.
No.
Yeah, it was interesting. I think most Bournemouth fans agree that it makes the most sense. That's kind of where Howe wants to go. But they all brought the point up that wages might be the biggest problem. I think we're all expecting Howe to bring up all these Bournemouth players with them. I think if Bournemouth do get into the Premier League, we might really struggle to get any of those, like King, for instance, and people like that is chucked about. I think we might struggle.
Is he not at Everton? No, he's at Bournemouth.
He's at Everton.
Is he Everton? Yeah, and is he out on loan? Something like that.
Yeah.
What happened with him was he had 6 months left on his deal, so they basically gave him a contract to the end of the year. Everton did. So he's a free agent end of the season, along with the other guy we're being linked with, which was that Cook, their centre back, who was the Bournemouth captain. So those two we could get, but you'd think they'd want a good signing bonus.
No, so they wouldn't have any residual value either because of what age they are.
Yep.
Anyway, which is fine if you're getting them on free, whatever. But.
Oh, there's going to be a lot of movement to do, and that's going to be one of our podcasts over the next couple of weeks. Got a couple of plans coming up. So what we'll do now, Sean, is I will throw this to you to start the ball rolling. Everyone, strap yourself in. This could get interesting. We're going to discuss the carnage in Glasgow caused by the Huns over the weekend. There's a lot to discuss. We'll just start off with general comments from Sean, John, and myself, and then we'll just let you run with it from there, Sean, and yeah, we'll just jump in with our little comments from there. So for me, you could see this coming a long way. It's disgusting, it's disgraceful, but can't say I expected anything better. What's your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was utterly appalled by it, to be honest, and it was actually really disheartening to see George Square and that whole area like that. I used to live quite close to it. Yeah, tough to see, to be honest. Did I expect better? I think, if I'm being dead honest, I kind of did, actually. I genuinely did expect better. I still firmly believe that it's a minority of Rangers fans that act like that. But the problem is, and a minority in inverted commas would be the same at Celtic. It's still an incredibly large amount of people. If you had nothing to do with football and you didn't understand what was going on, if you were a guest in Glasgow and you were coming out of Queen Street and you were greeted by that, you'd be fucking terrified. You would have honestly thought you've walked into World War Z or some shit like that. Truly. So yeah, I was appalled by it.
I see what you did there. World War Z, zombie apocalypse movie. Well played, sir.
Yeah.
You stole my line. You stole my line.
And World War Z was shot in George Square as well.
I was going to say the person that's most gutted was going to be Brad Pitt, because they all showed him how to do an actual zombie riot in George Square. They put World War Z to shame. Stole my script. The two words I would use to describe it were predictable and shameful. That's the two I would use. I actually quite liked, despite a lot of the mealy-mouthed statements, the one word that came from the SFA that I quite liked was abomination. I did like that word. That was very out of step for a normal SFA statement on Rangers, and it was completely appropriate and opposite. I felt watching the videos that if you change the rain and the pigeons for some sand and some sun, then the UN and the Red Cross would be getting involved, because you could have easily mistaken it for like Beirut or Kandahar or something like that at that point. Yeah, I mean, everyone's seen the videos. I don't really know what more any person can add that the images don't say for themselves. The most shocking image was the guy with the bottle of Mad Dog. Excuse me, that's not the official term. I can't remember what the M&D actually stand for, but someone with a bottle of MD 2020 smashing it into the point blank range into someone else's face. That was the most shocking to me. Pissing on the door at Celtic store doesn't nothing, like barely.
Yeah, fucking hell. That's commonplace, isn't it?
That was expected.
Yeah,
that was expected.
I think the other one that stood out was the guy that lost his hand. Now, I've seen the video of I don't know if you've seen the video where the guy's holding the smoke grenade and then there's a and then it kind of looks like in the video like his fingers have gone in all directions. But then the source that I was reading it from was saying that was not actually what happened, and it was someone else that mangled their hand with a different pyrotechnic. Either way, whether that video was the one or not, the guy that lost his hand was like, well, that should be getting advertised, for all these people that bring pyrotechnics into games and stuff.
Yeah, well, no pyro, no party, no pyro, no, Pinkie.
Pinkie.
Yeah. No pyro, no party, no Pinkie. Yeah. It's a shame Liam's not here, so I'll give him the credit for his joke of the WATP. What was it?
I started that off with "We are terrible pricks," and then it escalated. I actually got them all for you, so I can go through them if you really would want me to.
Yeah, I think Liam had the winner in the end, but there was quite a few.
Liam's winner was for Shakespeare. Where art thou, Pinkie?
Yeah, where art thou, Pinkie? WATP. Yeah, there's a few other ones. Well, there was a good one with the red hand of Ulster with the missing fingers.
Yeah, that was good as well.
Some good stuff there.
I mean, and it just shows how stupid it is to fuck about with these sort of things.
Yeah. You got them, Jarrod, or?
Nah, don't worry about it. There was...
That's right.
They were all similar vein. Yeah.
They're all along the way.
Yeah. And then, like, everything that happened afterwards was just a whole... It's almost like a TV series of events, the way, like, just one thing follows the other. And even though they're all somewhat predictable events, the nature of them is not predictable. And, like, it's all remarkable. I mean, everything that happens is literally remarkable. Even in the semantic sense that we are remarking on it now.
You get them in individual, sorry to cut you off there, but you get them in individual things, and it's like, what the hell's going on? So it's like two girls going off for, a piss, and like one against the wall, one having a squat, and they've got a bucket hat in front of them. You've got a guy pissing on the Celtic store. You've got people punching on, as you mentioned, the guy with the mad dog just glassing people. It's each individual one of them, you'd be like, that's bad enough. And then you put it all together and you're just like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
The fuck? Yeah.
Yeah.
Special kind of breed, that's what that is.
Yeah, and if you're talking about British Super Leagues and European Super Leagues, come on. This stuff was on TV in Australia. Like, Waleed Ali was talking about it in The Project in Channel 10 on Monday, and they think that this is going to promote our cause for getting into a British Super League. Come on.
And do you know what really fucking annoyed me, actually, from all of it? Obviously, the events annoyed me, but it was immediately getting tarred with the same brush. Oh, well, you're two cheeks of the same ass and all that. I have never in my life seen Celtic fans act like that. Ever. Never in my life. Give me an example. Where's the evidence that Celtic fans are even remotely... If a Celtic fan punched another Celtic fan in a big crowd, they'd be immediately split up and told to fuck off. You wouldn't be having glass smashed in each other's face and stuff. Or like at an event, not just like at a pub or something. But
I've seen that happen. I've seen guys at a CSC, like one guy punches another one, and then people get amongst it, separate, and one goes to one side of the pub, the other goes to the other. It's all over. At the end of it, they have a bit of a cuddle, have a sing-song, and get on with it. You don't see guys like who aren't even involved in the altercation come running in because they're like, oh yeah, I feel like having a bit of a box here. Like those heroes were. It's fucking ridiculous. To then be told it's a small minority, absolute shambles. And as you touched on, you said, John, about, two sides of the same, two cheeks of the same ass or whatever. It's not, because they've got a track record of Manchester and this and all the other shit that's happened in the past. Yeah, there's too much to go on. That's why I kept it nice and short there. And then we win FIFA awards for the best fans. Like, how is that two times? Unless it's like, the good one, angel on one shoulder, devil on the other. Is that pretty much what they're saying we are? We're the yin and the yang of Glasgow? Like, come on. We're not half of anything.
They're definitely fucking not saying that. They're saying we're as bad as that. That's what they're saying.
Turn it up.
One of my things from, and there's a comment that people have been really making in the last year, and it's been a very kind of background noise until this year, but it's been a very upfront point this year. And in this last week, it seems that message is registered, which is to use the term sectarianism so that term sectarianism is a catch-all where this is Celtic and Rangers, and this is the same problem, two sides of the same coin, like you're talking about. And we're now at a point, so if you go back and look at all the statements that came out from politicians and from the anti-racist groups and almost everyone, not everyone, like, mostly people of a Rangers persuasion are still using sectarianism, in their whataboutery defences. But all the politicians this week have started using terms like anti-Catholic bigotry, anti-Irish racism. And this is a big sea change. Using that language is the first time we're kind of moving away from this is a Celtic and Rangers problem. And we're now looking at this, when we get to use that language, it's starting to separate it as, yep, this is a Rangers problem. And that's what it's always been. But we're now at a point where people on the outside looking in are seeing it as two separate things. And that is very important. That is something we really need to be pushing.
Exactly. And it's really great to see that happening. Like, I was rapt to see, was it Hamza Youssef and Sturgeon come out and just go at him like that early days with that. It was like, just jumping on Twitter, seeing that, I'm just like, go you good things. Like, it's good to see.
Did you see the... Sorry?
I was just going to say, nobody's ever going to defend every single Celtic fan, right? There is obviously arseholes no matter where you go. But the fact that it's taken full-on fucking riots, unprovoked, completely unfocused mayhem for them to go, oh, well, maybe it's not sectarianism.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Twice in a fucking global pandemic for them to actually go, well, fuck, Celtic fans aren't coming out, and not a single Celtic fan was there to disrupt anything. Do you know what I mean? Nobody was out in forces. We never saw any Irish unification marches on the same day. There was no provocation. It was all Rangers fans.
I'll go one better.
And it's taken, you're right, 2 events for them to go, fuck, right, okay, maybe it is just one side.
I'll go one better to tie us back into what we said previously, but we win the 9 during the pandemic and lockdown, and our guys stayed home and celebrated. You didn't see that happen in town.
Yeah.
And then 12 months on, that's them twice. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that says it all.
And the whole these aren't football fans is a total red flag for me. So as soon as somebody says, "Oh, these aren't real football fans," what do you go and ask them? Go ask them what they're today when they're out doing this. What are they identifying as? I can tell from their clothing what they're identifying as on this day, committing these actions. Go and ask them what they identify as. No, they're not real football fans. I don't associate with them. Well, they fucking associate with you. So if that is part of your problem, because they are your associates.
Guilt by association.
Exactly. Either you start taking responsibility for your associates, or they're just going to keep doing it.
I'm going to say something controversial here. The exact same thing. Jeffrey Epstein may not have fucked children, but he knew people who did. So, you're guilt by association.
He facilitated it.
Exactly.
They're facilitating these arseholes to let them get away with whatever the fuck.
He's the Rangers of that scenario in the same way that, Rangers of the Epstein in this situation. Deal with it. Yes, I was watching a doco on him today while on sick leave. That's why it came to my head.
I was going to say as well, did you see the women singing the racist Asian?
Yep. Yeah. Awful. Absolutely awful. And it was so bad. I would not recommend anyone find it.
That's talking about associates and how that's unacceptable to you. I have sat in fucking the Celtic Stadium and I've heard somebody say something that other people have considered inappropriate, and everybody around them has told that person to sit down, shut the fuck up, you're an arsehole. There's a self-regulation between us. Where's the self-regulation on that side? Where's the Rangers fans coming out and not defending it, not doing the whataboutery, saying that's unacceptable, you're tarnishing Rangers, you're making me as a Rangers fan look like a racist like you are. Do you know what I mean? There's none of that. There's absolutely none of it.
We can continue on with this one and go to the old video of the Rangers players jumping around singing "Fuck the Pope."
Well, can I, before we move on to that, can I tell you a related story about what you're talking about, Celtic fans, policing themselves? And that's a 100% true anecdote that's never made the air. I was a season ticket holder, and I used to sit in the, South stand, the family stand. Do you know what I'm talking about? And there was a game where Falkirk... Sorry?
Next to the away fans.
Well, I was technically, yeah, but I was behind the away dugout. That was my vantage point. And Falkirk came. Yogi Hughes was manager at the time, and it was before the Green Brigade. So you used to get some periods of kind of library level silence. And Yogi Hughes comes out his dugout and shouts, balls out his back line, goes, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he goes, "Get the fucking finger out," or something like that. And somebody beside me in the row behind me in the south stand goes, "Oh, Yogi, this is the family section." And he turns around and he's like, "Sorry." Apologise to the Celtic fan.
Brilliant. Fucking love Yogi.
Oh, he's a legend. Yeah. So,
yeah,
Jarrod, what were you moving on to?
I just mentioned about you're talking about that video, and then there's also the one of the Rangers players celebrating, Sweet Caroline. with
The deep fake.
the deep fake video.
apparently.
Where somebody synced it up with the abusive lyrics in time with the Rangers goalkeeper giving the fingers.
But the hands going up, doing the whole at the same time. Yeah,
Perfectly timed.
timed. But it's fake. Yeah.
Do you think they're Catholic players, the ones that aren't, that English isn't their first language? Do you think they're 100% aware of what they're actually saying?
Not at all.
And maybe that sounds a bit condescending, but
no, not at all. If you listen to the Terry Butcher interviews, he says that he was right into it for like 2-3 years or something like that. He was doing the supporters club, singing the songs, and then apparently one day his wife just said to him, like, "What are you doing? Do you know what you're saying?" kind of thing. And he just kind of stepped away from it at that point. So like they don't know. They don't. Like it's like, I don't know, it's almost like as if I went and signed for a Spanish club and I was signing like historically racist lyrics and I didn't even know. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm just singing in Spanish. I mean, it's
like
kind
some
of
sort of Franco song or a fascist song or something. You hadn't got a clue what it was. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like that, I don't think they're aware.
Could be signed for Lazio and sing along their songs and not have a clue that they're about Mussolini. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same sort of thing. But
it's a shame, innit? Especially with the whole everyone defending Kamara as well.
And he's one of the main guys you can see in the video pumping their hands up and getting into it, and you can actually see his lips mouthing it in perfect sync, and you're like, everyone's standing up for him not long ago about racism, and then here he is doing,
being racist,
being bigot, being a bigot.
At that point, that is sectarianism, but
yeah.
If it's religious...
Yeah, you're right. It's just bigotry. But I think it's important as well. I know that got chucked around a lot on the forums and stuff, but defending people who are victims of racism isn't conditional. So just because he's done a bigoted thing doesn't mean that we stop calling out racism for where it is. We would never do that at this podcast, and I don't think other people on forums should do the same. So yeah, he's an asshole, but we'll still defend him if he's going to get racist abuse.
No one should go through that, and no one should be doing it. So at the end of the day, he's got to live and learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. Look, bring him in, like next year, whatever. Like 100%. Put him in front of on a podium next year at Celtic Park. I agree, but also that's not okay. Like, and the police are going to come out with a not proven verdict. Fine, whatever. That is what it is. That's what they're going to do. It has to stand up in court, and I guess they can't really identify who's singing in a crowd, which is part of the problem.
Yeah.
All right.
Part of the problem with the fans. Sorry. Oh, Jarrod, you suddenly got breaking news.
All right. Breaking news. The Scotland squad is in.
Oh.
Goalkeepers, David Marshall, Craig Gordon, John McLaughlin. Defenders, Stephen O'Donnell, Nathan Patterson, Declan Gallagher, Grant Henley, Jack Hendry, Liam Cooper, Kieran Tierney, Andy Robertson, Scott McKenna, Greg Taylor. Midfielders,
Greg Taylor,
Scott McTominay, John McGinn, Cullen McGregor, Stuart Armstrong, Ryan Christie, John Fleck, Ryan Fraser, James Forrest, David Turnbull and Billy Gilmore. And forwards, Shay Adams, Lyndon Dykes, Kevin Nisbet. There's your squad. Only 3 actual strikers. What's your thoughts, boys?
So Christie, Forrest, Turnbull, McGregor,
Taylor,
and all
Hendry.
made it. So 5 of the 6. So the only one that didn't make it was Griffiths.
Yep, and then Hendry, who's on loan. There you go.
Well, it's good. I'm actually, it's not far what I would have picked, so I'm happy enough with that.
I thought you would have had probably 4 strikers, but you you look at the midfield, you've got guys like Forrest who can jump forward and play striker in a pinch.
Fraser as well.
Fraser can as well. Yeah, so there's options there.
Griffith's got nobody to blame but himself, to be honest. He would have been immediately in there if he had just remained a professional.
Yep.
To be honest.
I look at this squad and go, I've never understood how he's in the team. Like, I would have thought you'd put another striker in over John Fleck every day of the week.
The only one I wouldn't have included there was Nathan Patterson. I don't think he's done enough.
I agree with that as well. Yeah. But I mean, look, I think I think our midfield, as always, that's our biggest problem. Looks fucking great. I think that's a very strong bunch of midfielders, to be honest. And we know what Gordon's like. He's a good keeper, so I'm glad he. The whole point for him of moving to Hearts, wasn't it, was so that he could get into the squad for the Euros and potentially World Cup. So
that move paid off for him.
Clearly did. Bain's not in.
I hope that Christie does well and doesn't get injured, so we can get money for him.
Yep.
I hope that, and I think that the inclusion of Turnbull. I don't know about Gilmore, to be honest. I've not seen him enough, but Turnbull makes sense, particularly when you're, accepting in advance that you're going to be playing as the defensive team on the back foot, the underdog, where the set piece is going to make the difference. That set piece delivery, that free kick. That's you're going to get 1, 2, 3, 4 chances in a game, and
also his long passing ability helps too for a counter when you're going to have guys like Nisbet and Shea Adams who are good on the defender's shoulder, making those runs in behind. It's good to have a guy there that can put those passes in as well. Let's play off the back of them.
And even if you got, I've not seen enough of him, but from what I gather, Gilmore has got this awesome first touch where he can take the ball from any angle in any position and create a space for himself. And that's another thing that's good when you're under pressure, is that having that ability to make space for yourself.
It's good. You know how when you'd watch Harvey play back in the day at Barcelona, he could have 4 guys around him and he'd just take a touch and manage to find the space out of there or get the pass out. I'm not saying Gilmore is at that level, but I'm saying is he does have that ability where get him in a tight space and he can make that one touch to get out of 3 or 4 players around him. So it's got a good side about him, but yeah.
I guess my biggest surprise is 3 left backs.
Yeah. I think that's probably if someone gets an injury, to be honest. I think what they're probably going to do is play Robertson slightly further up.
Or Tierney at centre back.
Back 3 with Tierney at left centre back, Robertson out at left wing back.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'm looking at it going with that many centre backs. You've got to be playing a back 3 with wing backs.
Yeah, we'll be playing. It'll be like a 5-3-2/3-5-2, something like that. So Adams and Dykes will probably be playing up front.
If you were to pick the players there that are going to come back with 0 or a few minutes, you're going to say McLaughlin, Taylor, Nisbet, and Fleck.
Yep.
Yes. Maybe Patterson. Did you say Patterson?
Oh, sorry, I didn't. Who's the right back? There's Palmer. There's no Palmer. Who's the right back?
That's what Patterson's there for. And you got O'Donnell.
O'Donnell. Sorry, O'Donnell. So they've left Palmer out.
Yeah.
So Patterson's in instead of Palmer. Oh, Palmer will be shitty about that.
I think there'd be a lot of people that are shitty about this team.
Ah, well.
I would have had I'd have had Palmer ahead of Patterson. That's the only thing I would really have a gripe about here.
Yeah. Oh God, I hope we do well. That's not. I'm not fuming about that squad at all.
Well, everyone in the comments wherever you see this, whether it's on your podcast app or on any Facebook pages or Twitter or whatever, let us know your thoughts on the Scotland squad in the comments. Love to see what you're all thinking about that. What I'll do to wrap this podcast up now is just give you a quick little update on the next few weeks' worth of podcasts. So next week we're going to have our season review podcast. So what we'll do is go through our fearless predictions from the preseason and everything else and see just how bad we got our preseason predictions. Make sure you've subscribed to the Celtic Down Under podcast in your podcast app or on YouTube to make sure you don't miss out on that podcast. Then the following week we'll have a podcast on recruitment, like who we think are going to leave, who's coming for, who'll be coming in. Hopefully we've got a manager appointed by then and we'll just discuss that side of it. And then as we go over the off season, we'll just take it week by week with another episode coming out from there. So while you're at it, on Facebook, give our Celtic Down Under group and page a like, on Twitter and Instagram at Celtic Down. And we have some articles on our website, www.celticdownunder.com. Unless John or Sean got anything else you want to add? Hail, hail.
I'm good. Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.